Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Here I am, I'm just sticking my headphones in. Now then, how do I put me, where we go? There it is. How's everyone doing? Welcome to BBC Spews Live. I'm doing an impromptu one because I missed last weekend. And because I wanted to make a video. I was that close to covering the Odyssey today. Because it's all over social media. People won't stop talking about it. But, you know, I'd rather leave comical cinema reviews to my old pal, the Despot, or people like him. So, I mean, we'll talk about that for a little bit. Something to chat about. The limpet's still attached to the door of Downing Street. I'm sure you've noticed by now. The bloke is just like a clag on that won't shift, isn't he? Again, which I've talked about a lot. I made a video about it months ago saying the man's a shameless parasite. He won't be going anywhere. And looks like he won't be. Done it? It's obvious. If you check out the... there we go, the live stream today from the BBC. He's going nowhere, isn't he? He's going nowhere. The man is shameless. It says he's meeting with ministers now as he tries to stop a possible leadership challenge. Have any of them got the bottle? It doesn't look like it. Looks like Streeting might be the only one who's got the bottle because he's a shameless little weasel as well. But the thing is, would he be any better? Streeting? Like, if you've checked out some of his tweets in the past, he's like a violent revolutionary. Streeting. He said things. He's put things on X that would see people like you and me getting jailed for it. Like, he really is. He's amazing, him. Saying things like he's going to baseball bat people, push them in front of trains. Like, genuinely more violent than anything I've ever put up there. If I was to tweet like Wes has, the old bill would be knocking on my door. Well, if I was unfortunate enough to be living in the UK, the old bill would be knocking on my door. Which interestingly is a good story. Have you read about the postcode lottery with the police in the UK? Because that's a good one. Maybe we could cover that one. But it depends where you are by area, which makes sense, doesn't it? Because I've talked about that before. The Cleveland police is famously bad for this type of stuff. I think Cleveland police is probably the most bent in the United Kingdom, which makes a lot of sense because my mate Muzzy got pulled over for drink driving, and the next thing they had him down the station and they were waterboarding him, and they burned the soles of his feet with an iron bar until he signed the confession. So, bog standard for Cleveland police. So there's an interesting thing we can talk about as well. I suppose I'll leave it up to the chat. What should we start with? We've got the ODEI, you see. We've got the postcode lottery for the coppers. Or we can keep talking about Starmer. If I'm honest, though, I don't think it's that interesting, is it? Because we knew what he was like. They will string this out for as long as they possibly can. The man is completely brazen and shameless, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care if he's the least popular Prime Minister in Britain. He just cracks on. Like, because think about it. They talk about Macron being Jupiterian, but you know Starmer is even worse than him. Like, Starmer's far more unpopular than anyone else in history, but he's totally unbothered by it because he thinks you, pot-bellied oiks, the great unwashed, he thinks less of you than the steam of Jeremy Corbyn's shite. He thinks you're lower than low. So what does he care if you hate him? What does he care if you hate him? As Starkey correctly pointed out, Starmer's a full-blown ideologue. Like, he's a true believer. And he doesn't care what the general public thinks about him. He thinks you're all scum. He hates everything about our country, and especially our history. You can tell he never talks about British history. Probably doesn't know any of it, because true believing, ideologically possessed socialists like Keir Starmer generally don't know anything about British history because the postmodernists, they don't know anything about antiquity. They're not interested. All they care about is the malleable human and what they can turn them into. And Keir Starmer genuinely despises the general public. So why would you care how popular he is? Why would you care? If you genuinely despise everybody that you lorded over, what would you care what they called you? He's a true believer. He thinks the great unwashed are totally beneath him. So of course he's not going to resign. And that was the video that I made 3 months ago, pointing this out. The man hates you and your wife and your kids and your history, and he especially hates your parents and your grandparents and your great-grandparents. So it doesn't matter what you call him or what you think of him. He's fine. Lest we forget, right? We'll just go over some of the scandals that should have broke the androgynous android. He's bent as an £8 note. He was taking money, suits, everything, jewels, off numerous donors. Didn't think he did anything wrong because it's all in service of his little project, isn't it? Didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Doesn't see the problem with 3 Ukrainian rent boys having his home address. Weird. The whole thing with Mandelson, there's been more sleaze. They made a big deal out of the albino jellyfish because he had a cake during lockdown. When Beth Rigby and all them, Kay Burley, were having champagne parties. The hypocrisy from the chattering classes and the government in the United Kingdom knows no bounds. So, of course, it means nothing to them what you think about them. Why would it? If you're a staggering hypocrite, you don't care what people think about you. That's how you get these the best modern day hypocrites in my life still remain the Baptist types in the United States. Like, you know, when I grew up seeing scandals about when you get these Baptist preachers talking about the evils of homosexuality, and then 2 days later they'd be caught in a Motel 6 with 2 rent boys doing blow. Like, unbelievable hypocrisy. They go on television and say if you're a homosexual, you're going to burn in a lake of fiery dog shit for all eternity. And then 2 days later, they get caught noshing 2 blokes off. And that's what they do. That's what they do. So if you're that much of a shameless hypocrite, as Starmer and his ilk are, you don't care about public opinion. So as I said, he's going to be like a limpet, except instead of being stuck to a ship, that's merely a sort of form of harmless parasite, he's going to be like a barnacle stuck to a sloshing portaloo at Glastonbury Festival. And he's going nowhere. That's what we've been saying for months. The last 3 days, that's what social media's been just constantly banging that drum, like, the bloke's shameless. And we've known this since, well, I mean, Southport should have done him in, shouldn't he? I remember watching a video on GB News, and all the talking heads on there were saying, because it was a big conspiracy, they were saying, if it turns out that the knifeman isn't a Welsh choir boy, and the Prime Minister lied about the whole thing from start to finish, this'll do him in, this'll crucify him. And that was the beginning of it. But there's been so many scandals since then, people have almost forgot about what happened in Southport, haven't they? They're like, Southport? What did Starmer do there? Well, I'll tell you what Starmer did there. He lied to the entire public, pretended it wasn't a bloke who had an AQ training manual and writing in his bedroom, pretended it wasn't a Rwandan, and then, before the kids were even in the ground, went into an insane tirade against the general public, saying, if you argue with us and our narrative about these innocent dead children, we will lock you up, we will find you, we will crush you. The only time he's been firm in his entire, the only time he's ever been firm in his entire career, because he is Captain Flip-Flop, literally the only time he's ever been firm is when he got the chance to crush the white working classes. He's weak on everything. He never ever comes to a decision. That's why old Sheep Teeth just walked off the job. Never comes to a decision. I haven't got a good media asset for sheep teeth. I thought I'd cut one with like one of them sheep kicking off on a black sheep, but I forgot to do it. What can we use for sheep teeth? Here we are, Jess Phillips, that'll do.
You stupid slag!
Yeah, she absolute monster tooth, Jess Phillips. She's resigned because she said he never ever takes a position. He's just running the clock down, isn't he? Does no work, let more time off than Santa Claus, and he doesn't do anything because he never takes a position on anything, ever. Russian ships in the channel, and he just goes, I'll be in the cupboard. Like he never ever takes a position. And the one time he did aggressively take a position was the opportunity to crush the white working classes. So this is the creature that's in Downing Street. But as I said, especially in the last video I just made, is there anyone who'd be better? They're all true believers, aren't there, is mate? Wes Streeting, Lambtron. These people want nothing but, they want the end of the United Kingdom. Some people have been saying old Shabana Mahmood. Oh, I've got a good one for her. Shabana Mahmood might take the job. Can you imagine that? Like basically a Downing Street jihadi. That's even worse than the Downing Street squatter we've got now. Anyway, I owe you that one.
Some of it was fun.
Yeah, give her a bat, Arnold. She deserves that. It's staggering how bad things have got in the UK, isn't it? Like I said, it's an international embarrassment now. There must be. I feel bad for the Anglophiles in the United States. You know, like I said, the reason a lot of daft knobheads say that I stick up for the Americans a lot. But if you'd lived out here and seen how they behave, you'd stick up for the Americans a lot. I was arguing with some absolute chopper on the socials the other day who said we have nothing in common with the Americans. Nothing. This guy was like a contrarian, calls himself a nationalist, but hasn't got a Scooby-Doo what he's talking about. I've got nothing in common with the Americans. I was like, compared to who? Who are you comparing us to if you think we've got nothing in common with the Americans? Our culture isn't massively different. The same goes for the whole of the Anglosphere. UK, Canada, US, Kiwis, Aussies. Anyone who's ever travelled knows this self-evidently to be a fact. You don't need to travel there. You just know it in your bones. It's the language more than anything, but also our shared ancestry and history. Anyone who says we've got nothing in common with the Americans has never ever met one. Have you ever, when I was in my 20s, I went to New York when I was in my 20s, staying in a youth hostel, sort of kicked off my solo travelling habit. It turned out to be totally by accident and very fortuitous because my Bezzy Oppo, Clemmy, God rest his soul, me and him were supposed to go travelling. We turned up at the airport in Heathrow, going to New York for a fortnight, and his flight got cancelled because he hadn't booked it properly because he did it all on the internet and he thought he'd squared it away. So I literally had to leave him in the terminal and go, sorry, mate, and went on my own. And I think I was about 26. The first time I'd ever gone like solo travelling. And I couldn't get enough of it after that because it was hoofing. It was hoofing. Staying in a hostel, I made loads of friends, picked up loads of lasses. It was class. So I travelled excessively on my own after that. But that was when I first got into it. And one thing I noticed from staying in hostels all around the world is the first people you gravitate towards are the Anglosphere because we've got things in common. This is self-evident, isn't it? Like, if you're in a pub and you're on your own, you need someone to talk to, and there's a load of Americans or Kiwis or Aussies or Canadians around one table, and a load of Japanese or Chinese or Arabs or Africans around another one, who'd you go and talk to? Anyone who says that is just being an absolute chopper. These contrarian bellends on X who never want to take a position on anything. That's why I told you, I followed Academic Agent for about a year. And that's why I hate him, because I followed him for a while. Initially, I was like, oh, he's well-spoken, he talks some sense. Then I realised he doesn't take a position on anything, ever. And that's these people. They've never heard the phrase, don't let the good be the enemy of the perfect, or sorry, vice versa. They just think, because they aren't 100% identical to me granny, they're not with us. It's laughable. It's laughable. Who's got more? Who's in our corner more? The Americans or the French? Think about it. Who was covertly assisting us in the Falklands? The Americans. And who was covertly helping the RGs? The French. So I don't want to hear any of that bollocks. Any of you knobheads who say, oh my God, he's always sticking up for the Americans. Well, why don't you just go nosh off the lefties and just call yourself a communist and join their team? Because this is the sides we have to pull. If you're against the globo-homo shite that we're currently living through, yeah, okay, Trump is not perfect, but he's the best you're going to get. He's the best you're going to get. This is what I always tell the communists when they're talking about capitalism doesn't work. Compared to what? Compared to what? There's no point in talking about some fictional utopia. The likes of Morgoth, who's clearly got TDS, slagging off Trump all the time. It's like, compared to who? Who's better than him? For your interests. In fact, I'll put that up because, where is it? Here he is. This is Trumpy Bear talking about the UK. Let me turn this off because I can't hear it. The bloke does a better job of sticking up for the UK than anyone in Parliament. It's not his job to defend the United Kingdom, but he's doing a better job than the British Prime Minister.
Advice to Keir Starmer, sir. He seems to be on the brink.
Well, my advice to him has always been, open up your oil in the North Sea. You got one of the great oil finds anywhere in the world, and you're not using it. They're not allowed to use it. And it's one of the best in the world, among the best oils in the world. Open up your oil in the North Sea and get tough on immigration.
Should he stay or go?
Europe is being very, very hurt by immigration all over Europe.
Should he stay or go?
That's up to him. But I've told him from day one, you're getting killed on energy. You're windmilling your country to death. Open up the North Sea. You have one of the greatest sources of energy in the world. Open up the North Sea.
The pressure is from...
You're windmilling your country to death. I'd love to windmill on him. This is why the North Sea thing's pissed me off for so long. Because I've told you a lot. Borough is sitting on like massive amounts of shale gas. Loads of people in the northeast, because it's not that far, work offshore. They go up to Aberdeen. My cousin does it. Tons of people have always done it. They used to call it offshore oil rigs. They used to call them the Borough Mafia because there was so many lads from Teesside working up there. Everyone in Borough should be driving a Bentley. And although no, they get quality inspected by Iqbal don't know. Did you see that meme? A Rolls Royce. And rich. And instead, it's the most poverty-stricken shithole in the entire country. Way worse than anywhere in Scotland. Before the jocks start moaning, oh, we get stitched up by the Barrett formula. You don't. You get plenty of cash. Compare any council estate in Glasgow and Middlesbrough. I'm telling you, you lads don't know you're born. The North East, by every metric, lifestyle quality, GDP, everything, is the worst in the country by a mile. So don't be giving me that shite. And I think it's on purpose. I think it's because these southern shandy drinking Cromwellian twats down south purposely fuck with the northeast. I think they hate us and they want everyone to be a fat, dumb chav. It pisses me off when there's a Borough match. There's loads of clever, eloquent people in Middlesbrough. Whenever the BBC go up there and they have a chat with anyone, it's like they march through the streets for hours looking for the biggest simpleton that can put in front of the camera. Oh, this fat brain-dead chav, he can barely string a sentence together. Put him in front of the camera, lads. I know this is where I get chippy and northern, but I think it's like a conspiracy. I think the South has purposely plotted to fuck over the Northeast for years. Definitely. And not fracking and opening up the oil keeps the Northeast poverty-stricken. And you know why they like it? Because where do they dump all the immigrants? In the borough. Because it suits them, doesn't it? Oh, it's only 40. It's only 40 quid a week for rent in the borough. Let's ditch 20,000 Afghans up there. It's ridiculous. So that's why I've got a chip on my shoulder about it. These wankers are doing it on purpose. Millipede is doing it on purpose. Ed Miliband is a rat bastard, and he's purposely making everyone in the UK poor. Sorry, Ed Miliband.
Steinberg! You're the first of your kind in my platoon. Steinberg. You got a problem with that? Sir, no, sir. Fall back! And keep that nose tucked in before it gets caught in a tripwire.
There you go. There you go. Deserves that and all. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, why are we leaving this to the US president? I don't understand it. Bloke does more for the UK than anyone in our House of Parliament. And the ones who hate him because of Israel and all that, well, what can we do about it? What can we do about it? The globalist sociopath run the world. Trump's making the best of a bad situation. He can't do whatever he wants. The real power, the faces you never see. But there's nobody on planet Earth, there's no world leader currently doing a better job of looking after the interests of the Anglosphere in particular and Western Europe as a whole than Trumpy Bear. And anyone who wants to argue the point, don't get into this pointless philosophical debate, because we can all sit there and pull miracles out of our arsehole. We can all just make things up. Don't tell me that he's shocking and he's useless and he's controlled by the 4B2s. Tell me who's actually in a position of power anywhere else in the world who's doing a better job than him. What else can we do? Who else do you want? Do you want Justin Trudeau to take over? Or Anthony Albanese? He's all we've got. So stop whinging about it. Honestly, I wish he would. I wish he was the tyrant to call him, but he isn't. So he won't be do a third term. I wish he was. I wish he was. I wish all of the people they slag off were half as bad as they say they are. Trump won't do a third term because he's not a tyrant. Nobody in UK running for office is far right. Not one of them. Farage is like centrist. Rupert Law's centre right. None of them are far right. I wish all these leaders that we've got were even 25% as right wing as the wankers on the left say they are. I'd love to see it. None of them are far right. Trump, if anything, he's been a moderate Trump, hasn't he? Like what? He doesn't thump the Bible. He hasn't banned euthanasia or abortion at the federal level. I believe you can get them in California or Portland now. Yeah, you can shuffle granny off the mortal coil if you think you can get your hands on a purse strings. He's been a moderate. He hasn't done anything hardcore. He's just defending America. Like, back in the day, in the 90s, enforcing your border like Trump did was the norm for every world leader. People say Thatcher was a wet liberal. What was immigration like under Thatcher? Again, everyone's slagging Thatcher off. What was immigration like under Margaret Thatcher? Everyone goes, oh my God, she was a wet liberal. Well, what is 30,000 people a year coming in too bad, is it? Like, there was hardly any foreigners in the UK in 1988. It was perfect. So don't be whinging about her. Again, the right has been pissing me off online lately, because that's what they do. They whinge incessantly all the time and offer zero solutions. Again, that's why I hate academic agent. At least Carl and his lads on Lotus here have just gone all in with Restore and are actually coming up with solutions or attempted solutions. Maybe they're wrong, maybe even he gets in and he doesn't go hard enough for some of you. But what's the alternative? There's no point just sitting there slagging off everyone all the time. As I've said, to me, the online right, the equivalent of the woke virtue signaller from the online right is, I'm the most right-wing man on the platform. Like, it doesn't matter who you're talking about. It doesn't matter whether it's Rupert, doesn't matter whether it's Trump, Farage, doesn't matter whether it's any of them. All they do is tear them all down 24/7, and they never ever give you any solutions or options. Or options, because if Rupert Low's not right-wing enough, well, what do you want me to do then? Just sit in the back corner wanking? Like, these people give you nothing. They just whinge endlessly. So I'm not having people slagging Trumpy Bear off or having a whinge at me for sticking up for the Americans. The Americans will give you the medicine, you just don't want to take it. They've got more interest in helping out the UK. And obviously I'm not brain dead. They're more interested in helping themselves, because that's the job of every world leader. Trump's just squeezing us a little solid in. It's not his job to raise the UK. It's not the job of any foreign leader to raise any other country other than their own. So I'm not saying the Americans are willing to self-harm to help the Brits out, but they've at least got some regard for us and all of Europe. In fact, where was that? Let me have a look for that. The State Department started talking about it yesterday, and they were saying, like, essentially, they stuck their own head in the fire and were willing to take a lot of shit off the MSM in general, all the world leaders, all the global homos. Here it is. Because they actually made a big, long... In fact, I'll read you some of them, because this is what I'm talking about. Knobheads, contrarian right-wingers will sit there whinging about Trump, and you've got the likes of Guy Verhofstadt or Ursula von der Scheiterporn up there, and they're just cracking on unmolested by apparently right-wing people in the UK. Anyway, Ursula.
After you.
Ursula von der Leyen.
Yeah, her creature from Germany. It's a crazy state of affairs. The Department of State put this lengthy tweet out, and Trump gave a statement on it. And essentially, they're the only people in the whole world willing to use the mechanism of state to argue for common sense and sanity on behalf of European peoples. It said last week the United States refused to participate in the UN's review of the Global Compact on Migration. The US objects to the Global Compact and UN efforts to facilitate replacement migration to the United States and our Western allies. UN agencies systematically facilitated mass migration into America and Europe, even as citizens of these nations called for restrictions on migration. Absolutely 100% blob on that. That is right on the money. That is exactly what happened. The people of Europe have done now but whinge about mass immigration for 40 years. The frogs aren't as sensible as us. We were whinging about it when Enoch gave his famous speech. If Enoch had have ran as for PM a week after he made that speech, he'd have won by a landslide. It's why people like me keep saying it's not a conspiracy, it's a fact. The general public loved Enoch's speech. Absolutely loved it. It was the chattering classes and his contemporaries who cancelled him and cast him into oblivion. And there's even YouTube videos of him getting hauled over the coals by all of the little weasels. But at the time, this is before the internet, before the digital age. So it's been a conspiracy. It's been, I'm not calling it a conspiracy anymore. It's been the main aim of the global homo for decades, for 60 years. In fact, where's my globe? Here we are.
Welcome to the sup, homos.
Yeah, that's what we are. That's what we are now. Because we take it. We roll over, lube up and grab our ankles. It's ridiculous. So it's not a conspiracy. The US Department of State's talking about it. It's what they've done on purpose for decades because they hate you and they want to wipe you out. I mean, honestly, let's just... well, I'll tell you what, I'll read this before I go into another mad rant. It says, UN agencies working with the NGOs they fund established a migration corridor through Central America to the US border. As the American people suffered under an unprecedented wave of mass migration, the UN was on the ground pipelining migrants to our southern border. Yes. UN officials greeted migrants along the route and handed out maps to migrants, and they facilitated mass migration to the United States. UN agencies condemned the deportation of illegal immigrants. All happened. As Europe endured sustained migratory pressure, UN officials staffed all ends of the Mediterranean migration route from the coast of Libya to the shores of the Aegean to the islands of Greece. The UN agencies condemned frontline states who refused to open the borders, and while the United Kingdom faced unprecedented illegal boat crossings, the UN agencies condemned any plans for deportations, including, as I'm sick of talking about, convicted surprise sex enthusiasts and murderers. There's people who murdered women and children, and when the British government said, we want to deport this lot, the UN went, no, you can't do that. Can't do that. You can. You can. Which is, again, knobhead slagging off Trumpy Bear. He's proved exactly what you can do. You just do it. Just do it. The androgynous android, against international law. Do it. Who cares? Who cares? What do you think bombing the ever-loving shit out of Baghdad was? I think that was mega kosher with the international community. You just do it and you worry about the consequences later. And that's another reason why Trump deserves the credit he gets. The man's got balls like watermelons. They tell him it's illegal and you're not allowed to do it, and he does it anyway. Craig Lee, another Geordie. A base Geordie. They're rare these days, aren't they? The English Constitution is the solution. Yeah, well, we need something. We're floundering completely. And I just appreciate the Department of State and Trumpy Bear getting involved. And as I said, I'm willing to fall out with the right over this. Morgoth, TDS, tell him, anyone who actually has a line to him, because he totally ignores me. I don't know what it is. I think if you're even remotely controversial, you're like dipped in shit, because none of them reply to me. Dino, back before I'd met him, sent me an email and said, hey, can I come on your channel? I went, yeah, of course you can. He said, it's weird, they don't reply. The big channels are all gatekeepers. None of them talk to you. None of them respond to you. None of them want anything to do with you. Anyone who has a line to him, tell him. I'll do a live stream and I'll have it out with him about Trump. Because, again, it's easy to slag the bloke off. Give me a solution. What's better? What is he advocating for? If not Trump and Trump's policies. All right, fair one to disagree with him about Israel. But there's a lot of power at work behind the scenes, the faces you don't see. Making statements like that and leaning on these globalist organisations and telling them the British people have the right, the inalienable right, to deport killers, stone-cold killers, baby killers. They have the right to deport those people. At least he's trying. What are all the people in Parliament doing? So ask him. If anyone talks to him, well, what's he advocating for? Any ideas? Because I don't know what does he want us to do? Just all right. Oh well, Trump's bad. Trump's not perfect, so get rid of him as well and replace him with who? Camel Toe Harris. What do you want? President AOC. I mean, I've heard she's going to be running. Unbelievable. No woman with teeth like that should be allowed anywhere near the White House. She can eat an apple through a letterbox. So get shot of her. That's not right. That's definitely not right. The numbers, deportations and recent illegals coming into the UK under Trump have been superb. They've been superb. He's literally deported. They reckon if you include self-deportations, because they've even put in financial incentives to leave, and they're constantly putting ads on the telly saying we will fill you in and throw you out, they reckon over 3 million have left since Trump took over. And they had less people crossing the border in the first 3 months of 2026 than the UK got on dinghies. An island surrounded by a choppy sea gets more illegals than the United States with a 3,000-mile land border with a poor country. That's how good Trump's done. There's the proof that it's easy. Easy. All the migrants into the UK are a choice. It's a choice. You could stop them in a blink of an eye if they wanted to. You could do it in a day. Netty Life was reform for me until Rupert said millions must go. Yeah, well, reform have said hundreds of thousands will go. Rupert said millions must go. Clearly, the latter is better than the former. But again, what I've said all along is if in 2 years' time, Rupert's got no chance, and we can't get them to come to an accord, well, then you take the least shit option. The right wing online does my head in. As I've said, it's like they're not interested in solutions. They're interested in growing the channel or taking money or just promoting their own brand of bollocks, because they all just whinge. None of them are pragmatic. None of them say, I don't like Trump, here's my solution. If just one of them said that, I wouldn't be whinging about it. But none of them do. Like Morgoth, it's just, oh, he's a wanker, he's a wanker, he's a wanker. Well, all right then, what's your solution? Tell me who else to vote for. What do you want me to do? There's no solutions here. It's just, I'm more right-wing than everybody else, so I'm class. That's basically, to be frank, being as I'm in my 40s and I'm not interested in going out and impressing boys and girls in the pub, I find it juvenile. I find trying to show off on the internet, I'm the best at being right-wing, is no different from, oh, look how woke I am. Look at this virtue signaling I'm doing online. I've got loads of category A kiddie material on my laptop, but I post about the environment every day, so therefore I'm a good person. If you're right-wing and all you do every day is whinge, and you never ever offer up any solutions, what's the point in you? What's the point in you? We can all whinge. I've got a gift for whinging. I can whinge till the cows come home. I could whinge a glass eye to sleep, but you're not giving me any solutions. You're not telling me what we can do. Abolish the union and free the English. Well, again, we could do that. There's an option. Maybe we could do that. I've said that for years. If the Welsh are going to insist on being communists and the Scottish are going to insist on voting for the SNP, we had an argument to do that 10 years ago, when the whole of the UK went blue. Because it's irrelevant that the Tories are woke. It is irrelevant. Our hearts are in the right place. Just because David Cameron and Boris Johnson and May and, well, not Truss, I don't think she was in the job long enough for us to know what she wanted. Just because the Conservative Prime Ministers were all ridiculously woke and left-wing doesn't mean that the English weren't voting far more sensibly than the rest of the Union. Northern Ireland gets a shout-out because they're obviously based, but Wales and Scotland have always been 5 steps to the left of England. Maybe that's one of the reasons the socialist left in those countries despise the English. Not just because they've watched Braveheart too many times. Maybe that's a solution. But again, throw some ideas up. Don't just sit there endlessly spewing out TDS bollocks. You might as well go and read The Guardian if you're going to do that all day. Anyway, so rant over. That was a bit of a tirade, but I'm seriously sick of it. Like, Bootneck's always defending the Americans. Well, first of all, I'm married to one. Secondly, I've lived in the States for a decade. Thirdly, my missus is an American, and my entire extended family is American. I am an American. I got my citizenship. What do you want me to do? Slag them off and defend who? The French. Suck off Justin Trudeau on television while saying you're right-wing. It makes no sense to me. So like I said, I think a lot of it's bollocks. I think they just think, oh, this will get some clicks. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so I'm not talking about him anymore. I can't be arsed. He'll stick there like a leech, like a tick in your balls for months. It's just, he's totally shameless. I've told you a lot of loads. Oh yeah, on that note, make sure you go and click on that and stick it on in the background while you're watching this. Thanks all the same. It will help plug the video. There you go. Click on that bastard. Turn the volume off while you're listening to me talk bollocks on here. Let's talk about this one. So we all know you're living in an authoritarian shithole. But where's the worst authoritarian shithole in the United Kingdom? Turns out it's Cumbria, right? 16,100 Britons have been arrested for speech-related crimes over the last 2 years. That is unbelievable. That is worse than any country in the entire world, including China and Russia. So those of you that think I'm being hyperbolic when I say the UK is a communist, authoritarian, globo homo hellscape, that's not hyperbole. That's where you're living. 16,000 people have been arrested. We've probably arrested more people for speech-related crimes in the last 2 years than we have foreign kiddie fiddlers and surprise sex enthusiasts, haven't we? That's a staggering number. Just for saying stuff on the internet. You couldn't make it up. 16,100 people arrested for speech-related crimes, and you've got 2 Puma trackies breaking a policewoman's jaw in the middle of an airport, where if I did that, I'd get ventilated. They'd just empty a magazine from the MP5 into me, wouldn't they, if I broke a policewoman's jaw in the middle of an airport. These 2 lads did that free as a bird for the last 2 years. So, completely mental. And, it says, bombshell research reveal which of Britain's police forces is the most likely to make arrests for speech offences. Big Brother Watch, that's a civil liberties campaign group, has found that police forces across the country are up to 30 times more likely to arrest people for speech-related offences in some areas compared to others. The group describes freedom of speech as a postcode lottery after uncovering massive disparities in how different constabularies handle so-called malicious communications crimes. Some forces are making up to 8 times more arrests than their neighbouring constabularies. Amazing. With certain areas detaining people at twice the national average. Cumbria came out on top, yeah, I remember that. With the highest arrest rate when adjusted for population, recording 7.7 detentions for 10,000 people. I bet you that's higher than burglary. You know, they just don't investigate burglaries anymore. Like, because you get massive outrage if an 85-year-old woman gets gorilla humped on someone's front garden by 12 Nigerians. So they at least try to do something when you get a monstrous crime like that or a murder. But burglary, they don't care about at all. Like, if a Somalian bloke burgles your granny and she sees him, oh my God, with a biscuit tin of money under one hand and his trousers around his ankles while he's snapping one off on a kitchen floor out of spite, he's not getting caught. She'll ring the coppers and say, I know what he looks like, I've seen his face, and I've got a foot of brown cable on my kitchen floor, go and arrest him. He's not getting arrested. Burglaries don't get solved in the United Kingdom. That's just it. So 7.7 detentions per 10,000 people for saying things that communists don't like, that's a much higher number than there's going to be people arrested for burglary. I guarantee you that. So, remember Mark Stein? Mark Stein was brilliant, bless him. Remember his old famous thing where he said, in the UK, everything's policed except crime. That's true. That is definitely, that's definitely true. 7.7 detentions per 10,000 is better than burglary. So that's 1 in every 1,300 people being arrested for talking. And they detained 8 times as many people than Northumbria police, despite their 2 patches bordering on each other. So yeah, you're not living in a free country. This won't be news to anyone who watches this channel. You know you're labouring in the communist hellscape, the global homo hellscape, and there's nothing you can do about it. But as I said, I want solutions. You can be, what did John McClane say on Die Hard? You can be part of the problem and be part of the solution. Give me solutions. Anyone out there, don't just whinge. Give me an option. If you don't like Trumpy Bear, tell me what your plan is. Who you're going to promote. Who you think we can feasibly get into power in his place. It's same goes in the UK. If you don't like Restore or Reform or Rutten Rupert's secretly in pay of the evil 4B2 cabal, tell me what you want us to do instead. Instead of just being a contrarian wanker, because if you're doing that all the time and you never tell me any solutions at all, you might as well be Owen Jones. You might as well be Owen Jones. Oh yeah, that reminds me. One thing I can go do before I leave. Owen Jones. Did you see Owen Jones' tweet this morning? This is unbelievable. So, Owen did this morning. A cause for national shame. This is the rainbow map for LGBTI rights across Europe. Until 2015, the UK was top. We've now collapsed down the rankings and are the worst in Western Europe. We're now near Albania. Now, I'm assuming all of my viewers are far too intelligent to require me to explain this phenomena, okay? But just for a laugh, I'll cover it for you. If there's anyone left wing watching, I'll cover it for you, because surely out of the 600 people watching, everybody already knows the cause for this, right? The UK was top in 2015, but all of a sudden, for no reason at all, in the last 11 years, every one of us, white people, born and raised in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the noughties, when we didn't care about anything like that because we were raised in a privileged Western nice country, and hardly anybody was deeply religious, which is the number one cause of homophobia in the world. We all know it. You never ever meet an agnostic chap who's like, I absolutely despise fudge packers. It just doesn't happen ever. My old man's your bog standard, mildly homophobic boomer in that he occasionally goes, mattress munchers. Can't turn the telly on without seeing two blokes snogging. But he doesn't hate them. You know what I mean? He's actually said to me very occasionally when he's drunk, oh, you know, we all have a laugh, son. But I'd hate you to be actually, you know, going out and attacking people for what they are. And I was like, yeah, I know, Dad, it's a bit of crack. That's your bog standard boomer. They talk a good game, but they don't. English boomer, they have a crack about the shrub rocketeers, but they don't hate them. There's no strong feeling on the matter. They just think it's a little bit weird. No, it's not hatred, is it? Definitely not. So where it comes from, religiosity. The more into very, very old books full of desert scribblings you are, the more you despise the LGBTIQA+C plus whatever they are now, two-spirit. They don't hate them. I'd even wager almost nobody in here does. At worst, you've got a mild distaste and you say things like me dad or your granddad does. Oh, well, as long as they don't try out on with me. And I'm like, yeah, Dad. The average twink isn't interested in trying to chat up and Roger an 80-year-old man with half his teeth missing. Not really the thing to do, no. You're not the top demographic for them. They're like Calvin Klein underwear models, not fat old pensioners with an attitude problem. Right? That's the attitude of the Anglosphere. Over hatred for them comes from religiosity. And I don't believe this bloke is so thick that he doesn't know that's why we fell down the rankings and we're now in line with Albania. Yeah, you know, Albania, do you know what's the predominant religion in Albania? I'll give you one clue. So this is bollocks. And again, I don't believe he can be this thick. Maybe I'm underestimating his stupidity. But I just said to him, I think it's the top comment underneath it. He's just getting tortured by everyone. I said, Oi, every week another 1,000 snack bar boys move in. Funny old thing, they're just not into it. They're just not into it because their book commands them to despise them. So I said to him, are you being deliberately obtuse to farm replies or are you just a total moron? And as you might expect, that seems to be what everybody's, bit of both. Bit of both. Yeah, I'm convinced of it. Nobody's that stupid. Owen knows it, you know it. So yeah, I think we'll call it there. Craig, get Graham Moore on, English Constitution. I told you I'll have anyone on. Tell him to shoot me a message on X or get me on my email or send me a message on YouTube. If he wants to come, I'll have a chat with him. I'll get him on this weekend. I'll have a bit of crack for an hour and he can tell me some solutions. I'm sure he'll do a better job of it than Morgoth. Thanks to Joe for gifting another Bootneck membership. You can join the club and you'll be important to me. Unlike the gutter snipes. I have a low opinion of everybody else, like Keir Starmer does, of the general public. And I'll be back. I'll be streaming on Saturday because I'm not going anywhere this weekend. So I'll see you all then. In the meantime, don't forget to click and like the shite that I put up this morning. And I'll see you all shortly. All right, thanks for tuning in. Keep your chins up. Keep whinging. But give me some solutions. All right? See you all later on. Take it easy.